starting off with, for those who don't know where Sri Lanka is situated, Sri Lanka is actually a very tiny island which is situated right under India in the Indian Ocean, more towards the Chennai side. It's not that very big, it's a 65,000 square kilometer land area. So, like I said, the capital of Sri Lanka is Kotte, and Sri Lanka is a country which has a diverse amount of ethnicities. Like we have the Sinhalese, we have the Tamils, we have the Muslims, and then we have other ethnicities as well, such as the Malays. And also, until we were invaded by the Portuguese, the British and the Dutch, we were a predominantly Buddhist country. Then the other religions started coming into our country. So now basically we are a multicultural country, which we actually are very proud to talk about. We are very much emphasize on the fact that we are multicultural and we are living peacefully in our country. So my friend Eshan over here will talk a bit about the history of our country.
Hello everyone, my name is Eshan. I would briefly talk about Indo-Sri Lanka relations and the historical impact. India and Sri Lanka, both the countries, has a similar historical background. Even India can't start speaking about its own history without talking about Sri Lanka, because the first script, Ramayana, it refers to a mythical king, Ravan, who used to be the king in Sri Lanka. Similarly, in Sri Lanka, the first king, who we believe is the first king, King Vijaya, he came from the northern Indian part. People believe he was king in West Bengal. So both the Sinhala people and the people in the northern India, they have a similar culture. With the language roots, if you look at the Sinhala language, it has a Sanskrit root. Later on, King Ashok, Emperor Ashok, he sent Buddhism, which is one of the greatest gifts Sri Lanka ever received. He sent his son and daughters, Sanghamitta and Mihindu, to Sri Lanka with people of 18th class. With this, a caste system was adopted in Sri Lanka, but later on it was abolished by the British in 1832. So in the prehistorical context, India and Sri Lanka has a long friendship, I would say, and even in the present context, we don't call ourselves as friends, more likely we call ourselves to be brothers. So Suchintha?
Yes, just like that, as Eshan was saying, India and Sri Lanka have a lot of relationships coming back from more than 2,000 years back in the past.
More than 2,500 years.
Yes.
But later on, Chole and Pandey conquerors came to Sri Lanka. Because of their Tamil ethnic groups, they started settling down in northern part of Sri Lanka, north and east. But now Sri Lanka is, as Suchintha said, it's a multicultural country where many ethnic groups are living there.
And also we were, like Eshan said, we were actually ruled by a couple of Indian kings as well from South India, like Elara and
Yeah, exactly. But even in the Kandyan kingdom, if you see, which is the last kingdom of Sri Lanka, there was a lot of Indian influence, which is the Nanayakkar Vansha. So the king used to be from southern part of India. Later on, he used to develop Sinhala habits, and later on you can see even in the temples, Hindu Kovils started establishing. So because of that, there are many cultural similarities with India and Sri Lanka.
So basically we actually adopted and actually took in other religions to our country, and they all live in peace and harmony now. So talking about other things about the country, Sri Lanka is actually very rich in its natural resources. We are home to a lot of gems, natural minerals like quartz and everything. So currently Sri Lanka is one of the highest developing countries in Asia in terms of GDP growth rate. We have a GDP growth rate of 8%, which is among the highest in Asia. Also, Sri Lanka is very good in its quality of life, and it's a very beautiful country. If all of you all are planning to visit, we are actually much promoting our tourism based on our natural beauty more than the architectural masterpieces. There are also the architectural masterpieces like the Sigiri and everything, which is actually a rock fortress built by a king who was actually it's a nice story about how he built it up, and it actually shows the technological marvel which was back in the days in Sri Lanka as to how they actually managed to build up a whole fortress on top of a big rock which is more than 2,000 or 3,000 feet high up in the sky. So going back to about the political situation in Sri Lanka, my friend Eshan will actually describe the political situation now in Sri Lanka.
We were also colonized by Portuguese, Dutch and British. British were the last people who used to rule Sri Lanka, I would say. But we got independence in 1947, like just after India we also got independence. But it was not a republic until 1972. Queen was the monarch until 1972. The first Prime Minister of Sri Lanka was Eshan. He is considered to be the father of nation. We faced a war for 27 years in Sri Lanka with a terrorist group called LTTE. So for the development of even LTTE, India was there even to crush LTTE in the last stage. India was there. Now the current president is Mahinda Rajapaksa. The present situation is we have a coalition government system.
So I guess that's more than enough for you guys for the day about Sri Lanka.
Yeah, we wouldn't like to bore you with all these
Just in case we go bore you guys, we've got some entertainment lined up for you guys.
Exactly.
So next